The Case of the Rock and Roll Dog, Chapter 22. When the doors to the elevator opened, Mr. Bryant said, "Second floor." But Tessa and I were already sprinting. Luckily, Hooligan's bed was empty, and our thieving dog was nowhere in sight. "Here's the plan," I said. "Piece by piece, we take the bed apart, and then..." But Tessa had a different idea. "Grab the bed and flip it." Instantly, a thick cloud of hooligan hair surrounded us, not to mention a thick cloud of hooligan stink. Ew. After that came the rain of stolen hooligan treasure. Limp brown daffodil petals, hand-lettered place cards, polishing cloth, Courtney's pink marker, a red cell phone, and Colonel Michael's baton. I know the cell phone was more important, but I wanted that baton. I reached, but at the same time, I heard a dreadful and familiar sound. Galloping doggy toenails. Oh no. I looked up and there was Hooligan bounding toward us at top speed. Tessa and I had the same thought and we lunged at the same time. Ow! Our heads collided, knocking us backward. Meanwhile, the sudden move was the perfect spark for an attack of hooligan frenzy. Before you could say stars and stripes forever, our dog had his favorite stick in his fearsome jaws and was spinning in the air. At least he left the red cell phone behind. I pocketed it just as Hooligan turned to face us, cocking his head. Here is what he was thinking. "Na, na, 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 na." In a desperate situation with an excited animal, you should never get all dramatic and yell. Instead, you should move slowly and make soft, soothing noises. So what did I do? Got all dramatic and yelled, "Hooligan! This is no time to play, this is an emergency!" And what did Hooligan do? Lunged forward, thumped his front paws, sprang into the air, and spun so fast he got blurry. "Catch him!" Tessa yelled. And the chase was on. You can probably picture a too-big dog running fast with a stick in his mouth, and you can probably picture a too-big dog running fast with a stick in his mouth being chased by two girls in party clothes. Now picture this happening on the second floor of the White House. Did I mention all the valuable and breakable historic antiques? We zigged here, we zagged there, and all the time Hooligan's too long tail was brushing, bumping, and rattling anything unlucky enough to be at tail level. We had almost caught up, could almost stretch forward and touch him when he made a sharp right turn into the Lincoln bedroom. "Big mistake, puppy dog. Now we've got you." Trapped in the farthest corner of the room, Hooligan turned to face us, wagging his tail and slobbering on Colonel Michael's favorite baton. Slowly, carefully, we crept toward him. "Good dog, clever dog," I cooed. "We'll give you all the biscuits in the box," Tessa murmured. I was one creep away when suddenly Hooligan thumped his paws and sprang like a jack-in-the-box onto the big four-poster bed. From there, it was an easy bed spring bounce right out the door. Tessa scrambled up and used the bed as a lookout. "Cammy, he's heading downstairs!" Oh no. Downstairs were party guests and Secret Service, Marine Band musicians, photographers, and, worst of all, Aunt Jen. We had to stop him. We couldn't stop him. Soon we heard the shrieks, thumps, and "Bad dog!" cries that told us we were too late. Tessa and I took the stairs, two at a time. But when we got to the entrance hall, Hooligan was gone, and the scene was like earthquake aftermath. You gotta hand it to Hooligan. He really knows how to make an impact. Aunt Jen did not look happy. "Where did he go?" I asked. She pointed toward the East Room at the exact moment Hooligan ricocheted out, with all my classmates and the Marine Band in pursuit. It looked like a high-speed parade. I don't know why Tessa thought of it then, or why we didn't think of it before. But just as Hooligan made a U-turn at the far end of the cross hall, she yodeled, "Hooligan, fetch!" which caused Hooligan to stop dead in his tracks and drop what he was carrying right in front of Colonel Michaels. Then he sat back on his haunches, thumped his tail, and smiled a big doggy smile, confident he was about to be given the doggy yummy he deserved. Hooligan, I mean, not Colonel Michaels. I was out of breath from all that running, but managed to gasp, "Colonel Michaels, look, we got it." Colonel Michaels knelt to pick up the object at his feet. But it wasn't his baton at all. It was Hip Hop Barbie? Colonel Michaels stood up again. He was wearing his dress black uniform with gold buttons, gold braid, and gold medals everywhere. He was holding Hip Hop Barbie at arm's length by her hair. I don't think he'd ever held a Barbie before. He looked confused. Nate ran up. "Actually, I think you wanted this." He handed Colonel Michaels his baton. Oh, swell. In the end, would Nate the thief take credit? "No. All I did was pick it up, sir," he told Colonel Michaels. "Hooligan must have had a spare Barbie down here someplace. When he grabbed her, he dropped the baton. It's Cammie and Tessa who found it. They're the ones you should thank." Colonel Michaels handed Tessa her Barbie and said, "Thank you." At least, I think it was thank you. I couldn't be sure. His words were nearly drowned out by the sirens. "Oh no, the international incident!" I grabbed the red phone from my pocket, looked around, and found Granny. "Here it is!" I yelled. Granny made a mitt of her hands, and I tossed it. Then she moved faster than I would have thought possible. Hand off to Charlotte, to Malik, to Randy, who sprinted through the door. After a few moments passed, the siren's wail became a sigh. Seconds later, they were silent. Coincidence? I don't think so. Chapter 23. Tessa and I wanted to brag to everybody. We had solved a mystery, stopped an international incident, saved the Song Boys. We found Dad. He was holding Hooligan by the collar. Hooligan's head was drooping. It takes a while, but eventually he figures out when he's in trouble. "Guess what?" Tessa started to tell Dad, but Dad wasn't paying attention. "I want you guys to find a safe place to corral your dog," Dad said. "Safe and escape-proof, I mean." I took Hooligan's collar. "Okay," I said, "but Dad, Tessa and I—" "Now," Dad said. "Oh, fine." We took Hooligan to the only person we knew who still liked him, Mr. Bryant. After that, things happened fast. First, Aunt Jen made an announcement. Due to changed circumstances, the Song Boys will be performing as planned. Then somebody, Mr. Brackbill, shouted, "What about the refreshments?" "After the performance," said Aunt Jen. Soon we were shooed into the East Room to take our seats. The Marine Band was already in place, looking snappy in their red and blue dress uniforms. I sat down, and that's when, finally, I started to get excited. I was going to see a concert by my favorite band in my very own house. Jacob's song came out first. He's the oldest. And after that, it was pandemonium, everybody screaming. Then Paul's song appeared, and I screamed loudest of all. When Matthew came on, he shouted, "Hello, DC!" And the audience replied, "Hello, Song Boys!" Then Jacob took the mic. "It's very exciting for 3 boys from a small town to play the White House, especially backed by the great musicians in the president's own Marine Band." More screaming. "And we understand that today Colonel Michaels will be keeping the beat because 2 young detectives found his missing baton. People, give it up for the first kids, Cameron and Tessa Parks." Colonel Michaels raised his baton. More screaming. But this time it was for Tessa and me. I felt proud and a little embarrassed. "Now, when you people go on home tonight, Jacob's song went on. I want you all to... He paused dramatically. Paul played a chord on his guitar. Colonel Michaels brought down the baton, and the Songboys played a song written just for the occasion. Read a book. In person, the Songboys were as wonderful as they are in videos. Only Matt was shorter than I thought, and Paul had a pimple on his chin. Besides the music, there was lots of stomping, clapping, and screaming. Nate and Aunt Jen danced together. Then Granny and Mr. Brackbill. I started singing along, and Tessa said, "Shh," but I ignored her. Near the end, when the Songboys played Shake It Up, the whole audience sang the chorus. When life's changin', rearrangin', not to worry, shake it up. Finally, the concert was almost over. Colonel Michaels turned toward the audience. Mom had just sneaked in and sat down. I thought he was going to welcome the President of the United States. That's what usually happens. But instead, he totally shocked me. Madam President, Mr. Parks, ladies and gentlemen, he said, the Songboys have asked me to introduce a special guest. Sitting in on piano for our last number, the one, the only, the first nephew, Nathan Leone. Tessa and I looked at each other. So that's why Nate had been practicing so much, not to mention why he'd been looking for the baton on Thursday. Our cousin walked up to the stage, nodded to the audience, then took his seat at the piano, all without cracking a smile. Everybody cheered, even Tessa and me. Then Colonel Michaels raised the baton and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and 2, 3, 4. The song was Hooligan's favorite, Rock and Roll Dog. From his time out in the elevator, I could hear him howling along. Poor Mr. Bryant, like the music wasn't loud enough. Chapter 24. When the concert was over, everybody, like my mother, made a big fuss over Nate. What are they going to say when they find out he stole the baton? I asked Tessa. Yeah, she said, but maybe let's not tell him yet. Not when people are so happy. Even I had to admit, Nate played great. Plus, once he got started, there was a big smile on his face, not like our so superior cousin at all. The Songboys and their dad stayed for the reception, but the Marine band packed up to go. Before he left, Colonel Michaels called me, Tessa, and Nate over. Nice job on the piano, young man, he told Nate. The Marine band always needs talent. When you're old enough, please give me a call. I will, sir, Nate said. And as for you young ladies, I can't thank you enough. This old baton is important to me, even if it isn't historic. Nate looked up. It isn't? Ah, that's right, Colonel Michaels said. The girls mentioned there was some confusion about this baton, and John Philip Sousa's. He told Nate what he'd already told us, how the real Sousa baton is kept locked up. Nate looked horrified. Then I made a mistake in my report. Excuse me, I've got to find Ms. Nichols. I sure hope it doesn't affect my grade. The reception was in the state dining room. There were 3 kinds of punch, red, sparkling, and blue, and tiny sandwiches on silver trays. No pizza. Of course, my friends were all crowding around the Songboys. I didn't want to act pushy. I stood by myself and ate a sandwich. Finally, I saw Nate waving. Cammie, I'd like you to meet a close personal friend of mine. Then Nate stepped aside, and there was Paul Song. Even with a pimple, he was beautiful. He said hi, and I said hi. And he said what a great piano player Nate is, and I said, yeah, he really is. And then I looked in his eyes, and my knees got weak, so I looked away. Oh, no, not you two, Paul Song said. Not me too, who? I said. Not you too, all impressed because I'm Paul some kind of big deal Song, he said. I figured since you're the president's kid, you'd understand how I'm just normal too. It's not the same thing, I said. You're super talented. With me, it's just who my mom is. Paul Song shook his head. There's loads of people with talent, Cammie. My brothers and I got lucky. And besides, there are times when I do kind of wish I could have my real life back. Wait, did Paul Song really say that? Sometimes he wants his real life back too? Sorry to interrupt. Courtney appeared beside us holding out her program. Could you maybe sign this? Paul took the program. Who should I make it out to? Could you just write to my best, most gorgeous friend, Courtney Lozana, all my love forever, Paul Song? She asked. That's kind of a lot, he said. And what he actually wrote was, to Courtney, best, Paul Song. Maybe it was mean, but when I saw he misspelled Courtney, I grinned. Wanting real life back isn't all Paul Song and I have in common. We're both bad spellers, too. Chapter 25. Parties are exhausting, aren't they? Especially when you have to chase a rock and roll dog. After all the guests had left, my family, Mom, Dad, Nate, Granny, Tessa, and I crashed in the solarium. Hooligan was there too, lying on the rug and woofing in his sleep. Aunt Jen, meanwhile, had gone back to her office for a meeting with Mr. Ross. The local TV news guys were like best. We like best are the ones named Jan and Larry. At 5:30, Dad switched on the TV, and the first thing we saw was Hooligan being chased around the state floor today while Larry's voice said, in other news, the presidential dog was up to his old tricks as a White House performance by popular band The Song Boys almost had to be canceled. Then they showed blonde Jan in the studio, shaking her head and looking concerned. Oh dear, Larry, what did the dog do this time? The camera switched to gray-haired Larry. In fact, Jan, the incident initially appeared to be serious. It seems the presidential pooch had made off with a phone belonging to the leader of a certain nearby nation. Until the phone could be located, all White House access was curtailed. Now the TV showed a tall man in a gray suit standing in front of a hotel. A caption in white letters identified him, President Manfred Alfredo Chin. I'm a dog lover myself, he told the camera. So when it was explained to me that the thief was the dog of the president's children, then I understood. And an international incident was averted. Back to Larry now, smiling. The foreign leader went on to state that he's pleased to be taking back to his country not only a pledge of support for farms, roads, and hospitals, but also a unique souvenir of his visit to the United States. A cell phone imprinted with the tooth marks of the presidential dog. Tessa started whining as soon as Dad hit mute. They didn't mention Cammie and me at all. Sorry, Muffin, but we didn't release that part of the story, Mom said. How come? I asked. Because they would make a big deal, and you'd get hounded everywhere you went, Dad said. Then he laughed. Hounded, get it? Mom rolled her eyes. Ha ha. Anyway, the cell phone part I understand, but I do still have some questions. So do I. Tessa crossed her arms over her chest. Madam President, who were those two guys in gray suits on the state floor Thursday? The ones who looked like stupid baton thieves? Gray suits? Mom was thinking. Oh, you must mean President Alfredo Chin's aides. They were doing reconnaissance before his visit. Then before Tessa could ask, she added, reconnaissance means checking the place out. Now is it my turn? Tessa said, go ahead. And Mom asked if we could explain how the baton got into Hooligan's bed. Hooligan must have found it in one of the East Room fireplaces on Wednesday, I said. When he did, he dropped the astronaut Barbie he was carrying and took the baton in trade. After that, he brought it to Mr. Bryant in the elevator, Tessa said. Mr. Bryant's peepers aren't what they used to be, so he thought it was any old stick and let Hooligan keep it. Then Hooligan stuck it in his bed, same as he did that time with Tessa's ballet shoe, not to mention the cell phone, the daffodil petals, and all that other stuff, I concluded. Tessa tapped her head and looked at Granny. It was all logic, just the way you taught us. Granny smiled. You're fast learners. But I'm still confused about one thing. How did the baton get to the East Room fireplace? We already know Hooligan didn't put it there. Nate had been fidgeting ever since we started talking. Now I didn't want to look at him. This was it. Time to tell the truth about our oh so superior cousin. Time to send him back to San Diego. But then I thought how heartbroken he looked when he told us he stole the baton, and how he gave Tessa and me credit when he returned it to Colonel Michaels. And didn't he introduce me to his close personal friend, Paul Song? Tessa and I looked at each other, and without a word we came to an agreement. Who cares how it got there? Tessa said. The point is, we found it. Nate's jaw dropped. He was so astonished. Wow, I didn't expect, thanks, he finally blurted, but then he shrugged. The thing is, I already confessed everything to Mom. Confessed what? Dad asked. Never mind, Mom said. To your mom? Tessa said. That was brave. He's grounded for a month, Aunt Jen said. She was standing at the top of the ramp. She must have just gotten there, and he has to be extra nice to the two of you as well. Woo! Tessa and I high-fived. But right now, Aunt Jen went on, I need to tell you about my meeting with Mr. Ross. I think it's obvious we can't go on the way we are with this dog. Stealing this old daffodil is one thing, but what happened today could have been serious. Drastic measures must be taken. Drastic? First of all, Aunt Jen continued, we have decided to relieve Mr. Bryant of his post in the elevator. Everybody started to protest. What happened wasn't Mr. Bryant's fault. Plus, he had worked in the White House such a long time. Aunt Jen held up her hand. We are reassigning him, she said, to the full-time job of keeping Hooligan out of trouble. Oh, thank goodness, Mom said. An excellent solution, Dad said. Will Mr. Bryant be cleaning the dog bed too? Tessa asked. That would be a negative, Dad said. In fact, girls, I believe you promised. It's Nate's turn, Tessa said. Me? Said Nate. Aren't you forgetting nice? Said Tessa. Oh, fine, said Nate. Where's the stuff I need? We'll show you, Tessa said. We'll even help, I said, but only this once. Like I said, Hooligan had been dozing, but now, for mysterious doggy reasons, his eyes blinked open. Uh-oh, I said. Don't anybody make a sudden... But it was already too late. The end. I hope you enjoyed it. So here's what I want to know. Would you like to be the main character in this story? Why or why not? We had a lot of main characters, so which one would you like to be and which one would you not like to be? If you could be one of the characters in this book, who would you choose to be?